two more points, Taibbi, or topics, and I'll let you go. But one is uh, the left. Okay, you and I have had different definitions of the left in the past, and yours is not less valid than mine. But mine is more old school, right? It's the left is socialism. It's economic redistribution as well as racial and social justice of all kinds. And yours tends to be, and I remember Nathan J. Robinson went after you in an essay. And what I thought Nathan did that was wrong is what he said, Taibbi gets the left wrong, which I guess I would sort of agree with. But then he debated you based on his definition of the left, not your definition. So, right. But I would argue that when Marcuse talks about the left and elevating the voices of the left, he's not talking about, corporate vice presidents who are being pushed forward as examples of, diversity in a system that is still biased in all its other hiring and its employment practices and its lending practices or whatever. He means something different than that. So I think there's a little bit, again, I'm not saying your definition is wrong, but I think it's different than Marcuse's. And I think to hold one to the other is maybe a mistake.
Well, okay. So by one definition, you could even say that Marcuse maybe isn't even left because he's such a departure from Marx's traditional conception of what leftism is. He's completely cast himself off from the idea of Marxism as a movement of proletarian revolution. The right. Proletariat are no longer important in his formulation. So maybe that's not the left. I don't know. But I'm certainly not saying that Jamie Dimon and Nancy Pelosi are left. I'm saying that the sort of self-styled new left, people who call themselves left, that these figures, at these companies are now draping themselves in ideas in the kind of, in a sort of a patina of leftism, that in this prescription, this idea of leftism that you might get from reading Repressive Tolerance, which is that it's a system where we have a super empowered group of elites who, on behalf of oppressed groups, is going to have to do the hard work of suspending civil liberties for everybody else, and sort of imposing progress from above. And that's why, and so people like Jamie Dimon and Nancy Pelosi, they're draping themselves in, this signaling that they're on board with this movement, when of course they're completely opposite to that. And that might not be Marcuse's fault if he didn't anticipate that his ideas would be bastardized in this fashion. But the text, unfortunately, in my eyes, I think it allowed for for that kind of confusion to happen. I mean, you're not going to get Thomas Paine or Thomas Jefferson or John Stuart Mill. They're not going to end up being twisted around to become an argument for the secession of civil liberties. But, Marcuse opened the door for that to happen, and opened the door for people like, everybody from Jamie Dimon to Nancy Pelosi to all these other figures in the Democratic Party, to figures in the intelligence community, to argue that they're on the side of progress, because they're going through, the sort of prescribed pieties of a version of leftism that's described in his work.
Yeah, although, again, I wouldn't say that Marcuse ever told somebody that the way to achieve justice was to wear a kente cloth while you were going about, the business of an oligarchical government, or no, as a white person, or to run a bank, but to performatively take the knee, even as you're still covertly redlining, I don't think that even, I mean, I get your point. I will accept your point that indirectly certain examples of silencing, probably through certain Kendi and maybe a couple others, have been warped or whatever the word, bastardized to use for this purpose. But I don't think anywhere in Marcuse's thinking, maybe I missed it, but did he encourage this kind of faux progressive, performative progressivism? Did he?
No, probably not. It's an open question to me whether he would have been horrified or not by the direction all this took. Maybe he would have been, which would have been to his credit. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I again, the core thing to me is this idea that liberalism has run its course, and we now need to adopt illiberalism, as practiced by a kind of minority of people who know better, and the justification for their enhanced power is their overweening concern for the oppressed peoples. So again, that entire formula is in repressive tolerance.